So, okay, in the last slide, I've shared my screen. I think everyone can see it. So, we were discussing about the links, the types of links, which can be a link to the external site or a page or resource within the current site or other places in the current page or particular location on another page. So, or it may be a links to instruction to start a email program, or it may be a link which are instruction to the browser to execute a JavaScript program or function. So, let's continue. Next is, so these are all the examples you can see in the PPT, which are examples for different link destination which we discussed. So, and of course, I discussed about link text should be meaningful. So clearly should tell what the action. Then absolute addressing. Say the URL reference can be absolute or relative addressing. So when we refer a page or resource on an external site, a full absolute reference. When we need actually an absolute reference. So when a reference page reference is to a page or resource on external site, I am in abc.com, and when you click on it, if actually it should go to another site pqr.com, then we need to use absolute reference. So first part is the protocol, which clearly indicates which protocol is used to access that resource. It may the natural protocol that can be used is HTTP. But still, if you want to, when a user click on a link, you want to download a file using FTP, then FTP can be used. So any protocol, it may be HTTP, FTP, Telnet, any protocol can be used. That is the first part, followed by domain name, then any paths, and finally the name of the resource, whether it is a HTML page, whether it is a image, JPEG image, or whether it's an audio file or a video file. So these are the four fields that should be present in absolute reference. First is the protocol, second is domain name, so any path, and then finally the name of the desired resource. So path should be used clearly specified in which directory, in its subfolder a given resource is located should be clearly specified. So these are the four fields, so that you should use in absolute reference. So coming for relative referencing, we need to be able to successfully reference files within our site. Usually relative referencing is used whenever you are referring to some resource within our site itself. So I am in sjctac.in. Currently I am in isc.html. I am in the web page of the home page of ISC department. So I want to move to some other department like electronics department. Then I need to navigate from isc.html to ec.html. The point is both isc.html and ec.html resides in the same website as sjctac.in. That means the home directory. So of both isc.html and ec.html or ec.html is the same. So there you don't need to specify clearly the complete path, so only relative referencing can be used. Okay, so if the URL does not include HTTP, the browser will request the current server for the file. That means usually in absolute referencing, the first part is a protocol. In relative referencing, I don't need to use that protocol. That means if you remove the protocol field, so usually the browser will request for such a file from the current server, which is our web server. So this is the point that you need to note there. So if all the resource for the site resides within the same directory, also refers as folder, then you can reference those other resources simply via their file name. So that means if all the files are residing in the same directory or a folder, so I am in isc.html and I am referring to ec.html in the same folder, just giving ec.html is enough, not necessary to give the complete path. But in real world sites contains too many files to put them all within the single directory. So for this situation, relative path name is required along with the file name. Path name is important because usually I told you about document root, which is the directory in which all the servable documents a server maintains. But will we put all the files in the same document root one directory? Definitely not. Because a website consists huge amount of resources or files like HTML pages, images, audio files, video files, animations. So the point here is, instead of putting HTML, images, audio and video in different files, I might put all HTML page in one directory. I may put an image in some other directory, audio in one directory, and video in one other directory. So the point is, the resources that are being located, are, though in the document root, they are in subfolders. HTML is in HTML folder, so image folder, audio is in audio folder. So that is the reason you need to clearly specify the path name, which clearly tells which is the folder. I want to refer to abc.jpg. So I simply can't say image abc.jpg. I should say image / abc.jpg. So what does it mean? You go to the directory abc. So, you go to the directory image. In image folder, you go and access abc.jpg file. So that's what path name is needed in a relative referencing if the given file is not present in the same directory. So that is the point you need to understand. So now how do you specify the path names? Say the path names used in our web actually uses Unix or Linux convention. It doesn't use Windows convention, it uses Unix or Linux convention. What do you mean by that? See, usually the file name that are specified, okay, in our Linux, the directories are specified using /, okay, which is a forward slash, which is used to separate one directory to the another directory, and you need to separate the directory from other directory and file names. Similarly, double periods are used to reference to a directory above the current one in the directory. This is the notation. But note the point that the path name used on our web is Unix notation of representing the path, not the Windows notation. In Windows notation, backward slash is used, whereas in Unix, forward slash is used, and path is if you have navigated through any of the files in Unix or Linux operating system, you may need to understand this. If not clear, let me write it on the whiteboard. So some people are writing the lobby, so I am admitting them. So anyway, the notation that is being used is something like this. So if I say something like this, I may have a folder image. So I may give it something like this, image. A reference may be something like this, image. So abc .jpg or jpg. So this actually is a relative addressing. This is actually a relative addressing. Now, so what does it say? Complete path is not specified here. It says go to the folder image. Which folder? Image. In which directory? Image folder is in document root. So you need to go to a document root. In document root, you need to go to the folder image. So in the folder image, you are referring to the file abc.jpg. So that's what the relative addressing means. So now the point here is, what is document root? As I told you earlier, it depends on which operating system and which web server you are using. For example, so you are using Windows, XAMPP on Windows. If you are using XAMPP, so if you are using XAMPP on Windows, so then the XAMPP on Windows actually is located, usually you can install, if you have installed XAMPP on C drive, so then usually it will be XAMPP, XAMPP and htdocs. So this is htdocs. So is the directory. So this is the document root for XAMPP on Windows. So that means when I say image abc.jpg, what does it do? It will go to the location. So C drive, XAMPP folder, in that htdocs folder. In htdocs, it will go to image folder, and in image folder, it will search for the file abc.jpg and it will retrieve it. So hope you understood what is a relative referencing. So always it is relative to the given document root. So here how I can do is, again I may give something like this. So if I give something like P, some directory like P, Q and R. So what does this do? So actually if you are referring this, so that means it will go to C drive XAMPP htdocs, which is the document root, then go to directory PQR, in that search for image folder, and in image folder abc.jpg will be there. So this is a relative addressing. So you can go and see the document root and find it. So I just uninstalled this. I will try to install XAMPP. So and I am going to show the document root where it is located on Windows. So let it install. So let's go back to this. So that's how path names are specified. / is used to separate directory names from each other and other file names. Double periods are used to reference to a directory above it. So currently you are in some directory. I want to refer to a directory above it. So then that is indicated by double dots. So double periods are used to refer to a directory above current one. So I am in directory image. Above that image is PQR. Then how do you refer it? A directory above a given directory is referred by double periods. So these are some of the examples that is given in relative addressing. So for example, same directory we have a link to example.html from about.html. So the same directory. Example is example.html from about.html. Then child directory. So like to link a logo.gif image from about.html. So this is how we actually give. See here below it is given href example.html. So this is a relative addressing. Simply example.html is given. So what does it mean? You go to document root, there go and fetch example.html. Again child directory. So I am referring to logo.gif, which is the image, and for which we have given a path images/logo.gif. That means you go to directory images, in that logo.gif you load it. So, but where is images.present? Images dot is a folder present in document root on your same server machine. Similarly, so you can refer to some background.gif which is in images file, and again images file is in CSS folder. Images folder is in CSS. That means here go to document root. In that document root go to CSS, which is cascading style sheet folder. In CSS go to images folder. In images folder go and fetch background.gif, which is an image. So grandchild descent directory. Similarly, parent ancestor directory can be given something like this. So yeah, this is where two dots has been used because you are referring to the parent or ancestor directory. For example, I might have to link to about.html from index.html in members. So to link about.html from bio.html, we can use this. So to link about.html from bio.html, you can use about.html two dots. So that clearly states so which is the parent directory of about.html, and for that which is the parent that is substituted. That means two dot will actually substitute the parent folder in which a given file is located. So that means about.html is located in some folder. That folder is given by two dots, and that subfolder is located in another folder. That folder is given by another two dots. So this is how URL relative addressing can be done. Similarly, sibling directory, root reference, all these things are there, which you can, but you people should note the clear reference. Okay. So next is coming in HTML5. I will show you once it is installed. You can see the home directory is being installed. I will show you inline text elements. See, in HTML5 there are inline elements. Some elements are known as inline elements that doesn't disrupt the flow of text. That means that doesn't call line break. Such elements are actually known as inline elements. So HTML5 defines over 30 of the elements. We don't discuss all these 30 elements. So some of the elements like anchor, break, A for anchor, B for break, EM for emphasis, S for strong. So these are some of the actually inline elements. It does not disrupt the flow of text. So here we are not discussing all. You can refer any websites like w3schools.com to get all the explanation for this. For all these elements or tags. So then images. So how do you include an image? Because every web page usually consists of text as well as images. You might have image in a web page. That means we need to insert images in a web page. How do you do that? So that can be done by using img tag. So img tag is the oldest method of displaying an image. And note that it is not the only way. There are other ways of inserting images in a web page or adding in images to a web page. Okay, that can be done when you discuss CSS. We will do that. Okay, so but note that image tag, okay, is the semantically best approach to insert an image. Semantically means meaningfully, if you want to add an image to a web page, so that search engine can optimize it. That means search engine can find out what this content in a web page, whether it is an image, how many images they are. It want to save it and index it, a Google search engine. Then if you use a image tag, it gives a semantic meaning so that search engines can identify there are 10 images. So all these images I should index it. So when a user searches in a search engines like Google for only SJ80 images, so then Google has already indexed the images related to SJ80, and all these images can be, links can be immediately displayed to the user. Okay, always when you develop a web page, not only syntactically the web page should be correct, but we should use semantic elements. So when you want to add an image, then semantically a better approach is using IMG. So how do you add an image? How do you add an image? Image tag, the example is given, it's self-explanatory. Let me give it. So open a angle bracket IMG tag. In IMG tag, we have closed the IMG tag. Note the point that where IMG tag is closed, here at this end, forward slash followed by a closing angle bracket. Opening within the IMG tag, so many things are there. So try to understand what is this. SRC. SRC is source. Actually, it is an attribute. What is the value? The value assigned is path name. The path name given here is relative path name. Centralpath.jpg is actually the name of the image which is located in images folder. And you may be wondering, where is images folder located? Images folder is located in the document root of the web server. So that means, so you are creating a link to images centralpath.jpg. I will tell you then next there is a one more attribute is there, alt, and with the value given to it is what? A central path. Then again we have given the title as an attribute, value is central path. Then again attribute is width, which is 80, and height is equal to 40. So the point here is, what does this? There are many. Always note that in every tag in HTML, not necessary that should be a tag. There can be no tag. A tag may have no attributes, one attribute, two attribute, or n number of attributes. So this image tag consists of multiple attributes. One is source attributes and a value. Similarly, alt attributes and a value, title attributes and a value. So, and width attribute and a value, height attribute and a value. Many attribute and value pair are enclosed within the image tag. So, first thing is self-explanatory, as I told you. So, it says that load a image centralpath.jpg from the images folder which is in document root. Then alt is quite important. What does the alt attribute do? See, there are situations where sometimes due to bandwidth restrictions or not the image present on the server may not load a image at all. What if centralpath.jpg image file is not there? Or else due to bandwidth, it's an image which may consume more bandwidth and your internet is having less bandwidth, you are unable to download an image. What should, in the place of an image, what should be displayed? So alt usually contains a text message that will be displayed alternatively if an image can't be displayed due to some reason. That means alternative message won't be displayed if an image is displayed. If an image is retrieved and displayed by a browser, alternative message can't be seen. So alt attribute tells you what is the alternative message that should be placed in the area of an image if an image can't be downloaded. Okay, that is the point. Next is title will tell you what is the link. So central park is a text that will be title. When you click on that, so image, central park image will come in. And of course, image will have a size, length and height and width should be there. So in a web page, I should display image in a particular area. That is the reason width and height are important attributes which we have given 80 and 40. And of course, when we say discuss various attributes, you should people note that. So usually the value assigned is 80 and 40. You may wonder what is this 80 and 40. See, for width and height, we can use various metrics. We can use pixels or what you call it as PT point in HTML. So here you can assume that 80 by 40 pixels or 40 points. That means width is 80 pixels and height is 40 pixels. So that's how, if you want a larger image, you can increase the width and height. So it depends on the programmer who developed the web page, what width and height. we should select. So anyway, the point is, as I told you, if XAMPP is installed, this is the document root. I will go to C drive. So XAMPP and 80 docs. Already the present file is present, which is 80 docs. So now, if you refer this, so PC on the PC means C drive. So XAMPP, then we have a folder 80 docs. So the point is, so this is the document root. Later we will place a file and see it in the coming class. So local directory, C drive, XAMPP 80 docs. That means I need to place all the directories here in this folder. So this is document root for so Windows. Keep that location. So if you want to place a web page or an image, you should place within this directory. C drive, XAMPP and 80 docs. So next is, so coming for next is list. So HTML provides three types of list: unordered, ordered list, and definition. Say, what is list? You may be wondering. You might see various web pages, list of items, collection of items. Okay, collection of various items is actually a list. For example, I want to see a web page. I have a web page. So I want where it will say list of students who have cleared the exam. There may be 50 students who have cleared an exam. I need to give name and USN of students who have cleared a test or cleared an exam. So I need to create a list of students. Okay, that itself. Or I can give a list. You might have a e-commerce site where it will say list of mobile phones, new mobile phones. It may give a name of a new mobile phones arrived. So like this, you might have a list, which will be list of vegetables, list of mobile phones, list of students, anything. So how do you display such a list in a web page? Okay, so we can do that. In HTML, there are three types of list: unordered list, ordered list, and definition list. What is unordered? A list which is not in a particular order, which are displayed in using bullet. Such lists are known as unordered list. So for example, I might use the bullets to display the students list or a list of items. You have heard of bullets when you go for MS Word or any office program software. You have used MS Office. So you might have used a list of orders which will give you. So there is no particular order or naming for it, just a bullets will do that. That is unordered list. Then what is ordered list? So ordered list contains an item which are in a particular order and they are numerically arranged. That means I can have list of students who have cleared the exam. I might give 1, so name, 2, second name, 3, like that up to 50. That means the list of student names is ordered by numbers, whether it may be Arabic, Roman, any kind of numbering can be used, not necessary that it should be only Roman or Arabic, any kind of numberings can be used. So that is an ordered list. So ordered list, unordered list, you saw the difference. Only thing in ordered list, items are listed in a particular order and they are numbered. Unordered list, so the lists are not ordered, so just they are indicated by bullets. Okay, they are bulleted list. Then what is the definition list? which consists of name and definition pairs. They tend to be used infrequently. For us, the most common example would be a fact list. See, definition list, you may be wondering. So probably you might have heard of a list like usually in a books or on websites, you might find something like fact, which is frequently asked question. Okay. More than that, I'll give another example. Assume if you have a textbook, at the end you might have glossary. You might have glossary, a term and what is the meaning of that term. Glossary of information can be given. How do you do that in a web page? See, I have a web page which consists of a book, or a web page consists of a lot of information. At the end, I want to give a glossary. So how do you do that? You should use definition list. So I may say CPU. So what is that CPU? So I may say RAM, or I may say main memory. I need to explain what is that definition of that. So I can use definition list. So you can say, if you have a glossary list of items that you need to define, so you have the indexing here in unordered, bullets are used ordered, numbers, numeric, Arabic, or any kind of Roman or any kind of numbering is used. In definition, so every item in the list are given by a definition. Okay, so a name that is given for that. So that is the difference between three types of lists. So now the point is, how do you create such a ordered, unordered, or definition list? So the point here is, the first tag that you should be aware of is which are the tags that are being used. So the tags that are used to create a list can be UL for unordered list, OL for ordered list. So in every list, there will be a list of items. So in a list, there will be a list of 3 items. How do you give these items? To add each item to the list, we should use LI tag. So LI is list item tag. So that means, so the outer tag will be the tag that will tells you whether it is a ordered, unordered, or definition list. And within that list, the given items should be indicated by what? By LI tag. So if you see on this side, so this is the output, you have got it, something like home, about us, product, contact us. See here, you have seen it, that there are bullets here, 4 bullets there, home. So now how do you create it? So since it is an unordered list, use UL and close the UL. This is unordered list. So within that 4 items, home, about us, product us, and contact us there. So that's why first item is added by using LI and closing NI. And note that first item will also have a hyperlink to it. That is the reason within LI there is an anchor tag index. Anchor tag used which uses H-reference attribute which gives you index.html. And within that the name is given as home and close the anchor tag. So that means when you click on this home, it will go to index.html. So first item is home, second item is about us, so third is products and contacts. And that since there are 4 items, 4 LI tags are used, which is list item. So that means simply by using UL or OL tag, you can't create a list. So you need to have LI tag also, which is list item tag. So again, keep that in mind. Within a list, there may be another sub list. If you see here, you assume a textbook is there, something like you are preparing a report, introduction, background, my solution. So my solution, there is a sub list, methodology, results, discussion. These 3 parts comes under my solution. So how do you create that nested form of list? So again, same ordered list. So 3, introduction, background, my solution. Within my solution, so there is again sublist. That's why again one more LI is used. Within LI, we have used again one more OL that says there is a order. This OL, this ordered list comes under the main outer or the outer ordered list. So methodology, result, discussion, and close it. Then close this LI and next add one more list to the main group, which is conclusion, and finally close OL. So that's how within list many sub lists can be embedded. That is possible. So of course, we haven't discussed the definition list. So you find out, it's not so difficult. You find out which are the tags that are used to define a definition list. Okay. So you can go to W3 Schools, you can search for definition list there, and you can get a piece of code to do that. So next is character entities. So what are these character entities? So you know about special characters. So there are some special characters. Okay. You may wonder which of those special characters or symbols. It is not easy to type in keyboard, or that are difficult to type in from the keyboard, and which have some reserved meaning in HTML. For example, the less than and greater than symbol can't be typed as it is. Why, you may wonder. The reason is less than and close than symbol, these angle brackets are used in all HTML tags. So for opening a tag and closing a tag, we use angle bracket. So how does the HTML interpreter will come to know whether it is less than, greater than, or it is an angle bracket for a tag? That is the reason we should use character entities. So how do you represent less than or greater than? How do you type at symbol? How do you type copyright symbol? So that can be done by using the character entities. So, and I want to give a space. I want to give space between two words. Okay, a word is there, good morning. After good, I need to give 3 space, then morning. So if you give it as good 3 space morning, so in HTML, the browser won't give any space at all. So it will compress the space and it will display as a single word. So the point is, you need to clearly tell, after good word, I need 3 spaces, then morning should be displayed. So how do you do that? So that is done by using, okay, so by using, so character entities. We have not listed all. You can again search for HTML character entities. One example is NBSP, ampersand NBSP. So these character entities usually precede with ampersand. Okay. So and symbol NBSP. NBSP stands for non-breaking space. So that means it will add a space. So if I want to use 3 NBSP, I should use 3 times and NBSP. Okay. So if you are not clear, so let me. So this is what, if I want to type good morning, so I should give good ampersand NBSP. So this is what the actual thing is. So if I type in HTML good NBSP, good NBSP, good NBSP like this, so then the output will be the same. So where the browser will display good followed by 1, 2, 3 space, then morning. So that means the browser, in browser window, document window, it will type this. So this is, you have typed in HTML. So that means in HTML, you should type this, and in browser window, browser document window. What is browser document window? In a browser where all your documents, web documents are displayed, that window we call it as. That means what you are seeing, if this is a browser, so what you are seeing here, from here, these contents, this is where your document is displayed. This is your document window. This is URL, where URL is stored, URL window. And what you are seeing here is the title window. Title, this is title window, this is URL window, and what is there below where your document is displayed, this is known as document window. So that means in document window, we get good morning. In HTML, to achieve 3 spaces, I should use character entity NBSP, so which is preceded by ampersand. So NBSP stands for what? Non-breaking space. So then and copy. So and copy actually will give you copyright symbol. So and copy will give you what? A copyright symbol. So that means if you type that, the copyright symbol will be displayed. You might have seen a copyright symbol will have a C character. So to display that and copy, so that character entity will be used. And you may be wonder, what if I want to give greater than or less than? So see, greater than and less than, though it is not there, this is the character entity, we should use it. So for example, I want to use greater than, so then I should use the character entity and GT. So if I want to use less than, so in your HTML, what you should do? You should use ampersand less than. So that means you can't use these symbols greater than or less than in HTML, because in HTML there is a different meaning to this greater than and less than, which are used as opening and closing for tag. So how do you do that? Achieve. I want to write an equation. A is greater than B. So if you're not sure, I will say I want to display A greater than B. So you can't simply give A greater than B in HTML. So the equivalent will be what? A ampersand GT. So that means, what does it do? A. So it will find the HTML interpreter in the browser will find out this is the character entity and GT. So that's why in place of and GT, it will replace the greater than symbol and you will get this output. But in HTML, you should give this. Hope you understood. So like that, many character entities are there. Okay, I won't go to that. You can find out HTML character entities, lot of character entities you can find out. Okay, you can find it. Then next is coming to HTML semantic elements. So far we discussed that HTML5 is different from earlier version of HTML and XHTML. One thing is, the most important thing that is added in HTML5 is semantic elements. So that means some elements are tags that gives meaning to our web document. Why should we give meaning to the web document? So it is good to give a meaning to the web document. The reason here is, one of the important reason is for search engine optimization. That means your search engines can easily recognize what does this document contains. For example, if a search engine will have a software known as web crawlers, the web crawlers are search bots or automated programs which will be running all the time. It will visit a website, like it will visit sjcac.in and it will find out all the pages. In that pages, it will find out which are the images, which are the articles, so that it can document it, which is the notification and which is the student portal, like that. So when you visit a site, the meaning of these websites and the various sections of this website should be easily indexed by a web search engine. So that is possible if you use HTML5 semantic elements. So that means always you should, suppose if you write an article, if you write a given thing, so assume I will tell you to write an essay. So usually, or I will tell you to write an article, clearly you will highlight it, heading, subheading. So, okay, so if you have written diagram, you can give a name to that diagram. All these things are possible. Why? Because an examiner or a person who reads your article or your answers will be able to understand what the student means, so that he can evaluate it better. Similarly, when you develop a web page, use HTML semantic elements, so it will give a better meaning to your web page. So web search engines can easily index it. So someone searches for your website, so they will easily get what they want. So I just want something like, so images related to SJC80. So clearly, if you have used semantic web, then Google search engine will have indexed all the images of SJCD website and it have indexed it. Someone search for images of SJC80, then naturally the Google search engine can easily return the correct results. So, okay, so the point here is many semantic elements are provided by HTML5, which we will discuss. But note that one problem before HTML5 came in was usually websites were packed with div elements. As I told you, div elements or div tag in HTML was used to logically divide your document. So logical division of your document is done by using div element. And the div element can also have an embedded div element. If you take a large website which consists of many web pages, huge amount of div elements can be used, which will be difficult to modify it, and it will be confusing. You might have seen a web page, a large web page, maybe 1,000 or 10,000 lines of text may be there in one single HTML page. Then finding under which div another div comes in, nested divs and divs comes in is quite difficult to find. So that is the reason why using of div elements is a difficult thing. So developers want to bring some sense and order to the div elements that are used. Of course, div elements were used with the attributes like ID and class names that provide some clue and meaning. That means every div can be identified by using ID attribute, or a div can be categorized based on class, where you can use a class attribute to do that. But still, so diving is somewhat confusing, and someone, a web developer, want to modify a HTML page, it is difficult to modify it. So that is the reason why HTML5 provided some semantic elements. What are those semantic elements? So of course I won't go into it. This is previous XHTML version and this is HTML5 version. That means they have given an example here, div. Under that there is one div, and again under this div there is another div. Like this, multiple divs are there. So this is in the earlier version, which is difficult to track. I want to modify this. It will be difficult to go and modify. Suppose I am a web programmer, I have developed a web page. Tomorrow I left the company, new web programmer came in, he tries to modify this. You will find it hard to find these div, navigate through it and modify it. But instead of that, in HTML5, the same web page is developed like this, but it is using different elements. Here, the different element, instead of divs, of course div can also be used here, but instead of div, header is used, H group, header group, nav, navigation tag, and of course closing header. So section, article, fig caption, aside, so footer, all these things. So that means, what are these tags used in HTML5? They are semantic elements. So many are there. So this diagram will clearly show you the new HTML5 element is what? Header. Header is one tag. So one element, H group. So header element, H group element, nav element, then section, article, figure, figure caption, aside, section, footer. So all these are the new tags that are added in HTML, which are semantic elements that gives meaning to the web document so that it will be easier for search engine to optimize. So now some meaning will be given to it. So most website pages have a recognizable header and footer. I don't know how many of you have seen it. When you visit a website, usually a website, see if you have written a report, a project report, then usually, or if you have taken a textbook, a header and a footer is there. If you have written a project report, there is a footer. For example, take this slide. In this slide itself, there is a footer. What does it say? Randy Connolly at the author name and the name of the book, Fundamentals of Web Development. This is header. Footer. So above it, you can have a header. Similarly, in a Word document that you create, which may be a project report, there may be a header and a footer. So how you have a header and a footer in a slides, PPT slides or MS Word document, similarly a web page will have an header and footer. What does this header contains? Usually header contains a site logo of that site. If you are visiting a site, the IBM website, IBM logo may be there. Or if you are visiting a Microsoft website, a Microsoft logo may be there. There may be title like telling which company it is. Some horizontal navigation links and one or two horizontal banners can be there. So, but how do you create a header in a web page? So, header in a web page is created by using header tag. Okay. Similarly, footer can also be. Footer contains what? Usually smaller text version of navigation. Assume I want to go to the next page. There may be arrow mark, which is a link to the navigation. Go to the next page. Okay. Then copyright notices like copyright symbol, information about sites, privacy policies, and perhaps Twitter feeder or links to other social sites. So if you have seen, so many of the sites will have links. So this is typically a header or footer. So if you haven't seen it, so directly if you go to this site, so you can see. Can you tell me where here? So if you note it, so this is a website W3 schools I went through. So if you see here, lot of information that you are seeing here. What is this? This is actually the footer. So here you have given copyright like right reserved, powered by W3, some information links. So this is actually the footer of our website w3schools.com. Similarly, so in a header, if you see here, this is a header. So in a header, you might have w3schools.com, the world's largest web developer site, then login. All these things are what? They are actually the header. So that's what you can go and see these things, header and footer. So here, the point there is, so indexing purpose, how does a search engine, web crawler will know that main intent is it should notify the links and the contents of this. So heading and footer information should not be indexed and not necessary, and you should have. So for example, Copyright Act, someone is searching for a copyright. So footer should be indexed, not the contents. So how do you give the meaning? Which is header and which is footer? In the earlier web page, HTML pages, it was not possible to identify which is a header and a footer in a web page. But in HTML5, we have two new tags added, which is header and footer, that will actually give meaning to your web page, which will tell which is the header and footer. So hope you understood. So header tag and footer tag, which are two HTML5 semantic elements. Okay, many such elements are there. So which we will discuss in the next class. Okay. So with that I will conclude, but before I conclude, so I need to tell you that there are few things to be learned. So tomorrow you will be having a lab. So better you have install XAMPP on Windows or you install Linux. So I will execute the programs of the lab programs there itself, and also from coming theory classes also all the programs I will explain, demonstrate using our Apache server and other things. So first thing I recommend you to go through, install XAMPP or the softwares which I told you. So install on your laptop or desktop and get ready so that you can clearly understand the web programming concepts, because practically you need to do it, then only you can actually understand. And I hope you everyone downloaded the source code of your textbook that I have given in your Microsoft Teams. Okay, if you have not downloaded, download it. It is in zip format, you can unzip it. So for every chapter there is a folder in which all the codes pertaining to the chapter is in the respective folder. Okay. So before I stop it, I need to take the attendance. So attendance by next week, by Monday, I will give the attendance for the previous sheet. Some of students are not attending. I don't know. So okay, and also I told you about the project group list. So you can send the project group list. So and the title we will decide it, but first you should give the project group list. So okay, before that, if you want if you have any doubts, you can ask. Any doubts? You can unmute. You can unmute and you can ask if you have any doubts. You can unmute and ask. No doubts? So everyone is listening to my voice, and the screen which I am sharing is visible. Any problem regarding this team, Microsoft Teams? Huh? Nothing I am hearing from you.
No problem, sir.
Huh? No problem. Only
No problem, sir.
what about others? I should call your names. Physically, people are present or not? Some people might have muted audio,
Yes,
and maybe they are present in my class or not. So who is
no problem.
1SJ17, register number 19. So okay, thank you. We'll continue in this. Tomorrow we'll try to handle the class. So get ready with your install the software which I told and get ready. Okay. Okay. Thank you.